World War I officially started after the assassination of Archduke Franz of Austria and his pregnant wife Sophie on June 28, 1914. The German government, dominated by the Junkers, thought of the war as a way to end Germany's dispute with rivals France, Russia, and Britain. The beginning of the war was presented in Germany as a chance for the nation to secure our place under the sun, as said by Foreign Minister Bernard von Below. During World War I, Germany fought the Allies on both eastern and western fronts. German territories itself remained relatively safe from widespread invasions for most of the war, except for a brief period in 1914 when East Prussia was invaded. The Kaiser and German establishment hoped the war would unite the public behind the monarchy and lessen the threat posed by the dramatic growth of the Social Democratic Party of Germany then came to the realization that they were not prepared for a war longer than just a couple of months. At first, not much was done to regulate the economy for a wartime footing, and German war economy would remain badly organized throughout the war. Also, Germany depended on imports of foods and raw materials, which were stopped by the British blockade of Germany. The winter of the years 1916 and 1917 were called the turnip winter. This was due to the fact that people had barely anything to eat, therefore they ate animal feed including veal, which tasted like turnips. In spring of 1918, Germany realized that time was running out. It prepared for a decisive strike with new armies, new tactics, hoping to win the war on the Western Front before millions of American soldiers appeared in the battle. After this war, Germany's economy was devastated. After World War I ended, Germany possessed many characteristics which made it vulnerable to be manipulated by Hitler.
Propaganda was a big part of World War I. It was used as a way to make people lean to a certain side and think a specific way. Many of the posters created were used to make the army look fun and exciting, as well as using tactics like "we need you" or "your country needs you" to incite more people to be recruited. These would also try to make the enemy look as bad as possible to the public eye, saying things that were often lies to cause anger or make people scared of them. One of the things that makes World War I propaganda stand out is how the truth was not really told at all. In order to make themselves sound better and the enemy sound worse, many of the propaganda made had a lot of lies about the enemy told through these posters. Some governments even going as far as to make newspaper print articles with lies in them so people would trust in their governments more. Propaganda was also a way to have country promote patriotism and nationalism, making propaganda that was in celebration to their country and army, causing the public to feel prideful in their country and support their country's efforts in the war.
The art scene of Germany pre-World War I to post-World War I had changed dramatically. The impact of World War I had drastic effect on German art, especially because many of the artists that had been involved in the war. Initially, many artists shared the intense sense of nationalism and a romanticized idea of war. Because many of these artists had first-hand experience in the war and the many horrors that they faced, their sentiments towards the war took a 180-degree turn. The horrors that they experienced continued to haunt them long after the war had ended and shook them to their core. The feelings of grandeur they once felt for the war were now replaced by feelings of rage, disdain, and betrayal. German artist Ernst Ludwig Kirchner, an expressionist, was discharged from service due to psychological and physical collapse. His painting, Self-Portrait as a Soldier, is a reflection of how the war had tormented his psychological health. Another expressionist who willingly joined the war was Otto Dix. He, like so many others, were permanently mentally damaged from their war experiences. His self-portrait painting that he made in 1914 before the war is filled with color and pertains to his expressionist style. His art piece, Stormtroopers During Gas Attack, expresses his time during the war. There's a lack of color and a lack of feeling, just the expression of unending violence that he experienced during the war.